Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Backseat Drivers. We took a little bit of a break, but we're back. And I have Jonathan Merriman and Kim Kuhn here on the table with me. The Busch Clash was a bit aggressive for a Busch Clash. What do you guys think?
Nothing to worry about but money at the end of the day. But, I mean, certainly a lot of people with hurt feelings and a lot of bent fenders at the end of that thing.
You were talking on Twitter.
I mean,
Let it all out.
I don't. Well, the thing I don't understand is the strategy of the second pack, which was mostly comprised of the Chevy cars, pitting or not pitting,
yeah,
and being slow enough to where the cars that pitted and had enough fuel to make it to the
Couldn't
end
see what they were doing.
Caught them anyway.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, look, there are a ton of engineers on these race teams, and I think you pretty much have to figure out that if you're, a second to 2 seconds slower, this pack is going to catch you, and it's going to negate the fuel mileage anyway. So why don't you just pit? I was screaming at the
really
TV.
upset.
I mean, I just didn't understand it. It was confusing, but it made for one hell of a, couple of green-white checkers. So
should have been called the Busch Crash, not the Busch Clash.
Agreed.
Everybody was over-aggressive. I don't know if they were just antsy because we have had an off-season and they're ready to go. We also have a different package than we ran at the Daytona 500 last year. I know we ran it at the Summer Daytona and Talladega races, but it's their kind of first chance for the Great American Race coming up to have this package, and they were trying to feel out kind of maybe what they want to do for it and bargained a little too much. I don't like to see that many crashes. You said it makes for good TV, but at the end of the day, you don't want
I mean, it was $3 million worth of cars.
Yeah, a car graveyard. Like, that doesn't help anybody.
can't use them next year. Might as well use them up.
But also, are they not backups for the 500?
They're
Like
backups to the
second
backups.
backup.
Okay.
So
But thinking about all the practices you have to go through and all
I mean,
the things,
look,
like, it's not smart.
Sure, yeah, but who's in control of that? The people behind the wheel, and nope. I mean, if that's a show that they want to put on, I'm going to strap in and watch it in front of the TV, and I'm
I
good.
don't think that's the show they want to put on, though, because
That's what they did.
You talk to the drivers afterward, and they're frustrated by it too.
One driver's mad because somebody else blocked, but if they were in the
Yeah,
front,
note to self, blocks don't work.
they would block. So I mean,
So you agree with that? The hard charging. First of all, regardless of whose side you're on, you get one good block.
no,
That's
don't
it.
look. Yeah, blocking twice is a no-go. Blocking once, I can.
But
understand.
everybody did it.
Well, then why is everybody complaining about it? They made their bed lying.
That's what I don't understand, though, is why. I mean, I was all for it because I was screaming at the TV like everybody else. But I just don't understand, like Kim said, when you walk around the garage and it's carnage everywhere, literally. I mean, it was millions of dollars worth of equipment.
Like, every car was in some sort of incident.
I didn't wreck anybody. I ain't worried about it. If they're gonna fuss about it, then they need to be the one to fix it. It's nobody else's fault. I just enjoyed a hell of a race.
So you think it's good for the fans?
I mean,
This is a different tune he was
Yeah.
singing on his Twitter. At, what is it, J_Merriman?
yeah. What did I say on Twitter?
You were talking about how you didn't understand everything.
I didn't understand the fuel strategy.
That was it.
Yeah. Check it out.
All right. Okay.
Tweet
Okay.
me.
All right. Well, the Busch Clash was on Sunday, but then on Sunday as well, we had qualifying for the Daytona 500, which we saw Ricky Stenhouse get the pole, his first ever pole for the 500, and then we have Alex Bowman on the front row, 3 of 3 for the showman, which
Not bad.
it's pretty good. So what do we think about the qualifying order? How do we feel about the front row? I personally have Stenhouse and Bowman on my lineup.
Go ahead, Kim.
What stands out to me is Stenhouse winning the pole with his first go at it with JTG.
Yeah, talk about a redemption
I
tour.
had to remember that they're a Chevy team, and this is the newer Chevy Camaro. We've only ever seen Ricky Stenhouse Jr. perform
Ford.
really well in a Ford on super speedways. So it excites me with what he's able to do with that team and in the Chevy Camaro and showing his talent, because I think everybody's just like, oh, it's Ford power, whenever he would win or do well at super speedways. So I think he is a contender.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Well, I mean,
It was also Hendrick 1, 2, 3, 4 motors.
Hendrick horsepower has been dominant at Daytona on pole day for a while, but you have to think he's been walking around with a spoiler on the back of his head, that mullet. He's just used to just getting around with that thing.
I was waiting for you to show up today with your
He
mullet.
drives better with the mullet.
He drives better with a mullet. No, I do think, I think he's got a fire lit under him. I mean, we've talked about it to no end when he was in the Xfinity Series and Jack sat him, and he comes back and he wins a championship. So, he was put out at Roush. He's back with new life at JTG. And look, the JTG cars have been nothing to scoff at
Yeah.
Daytona. They've been pretty good.
Yeah, Chris Buescher's done well with
But
that car.
I'm excited to see Ricky on the pole. He's got a reputation at plate tracks or super speedways of being the
Ruffling
guy
some
to
feathers.
avoid. But he's really good. He's just aggressive, and you have to be that way. So it'll be interesting to see his strategy through the duels, because he's guaranteed on the front row unless
If
he wrecks the
doesn't wreck
car.
it.
But a lot of those people were saying that the cars on the front row were really trimmed out. So how will they handle once they get a couple laps on those tires in the 500? Will it be a handful?
We saw that last year, though, with
yeah.
this package at Talladega and the summer Daytona. Like, do you trim your car out or do you set it up for the long run? And we have to remember it is a 500-mile race. So
Yeah.
the front row, not that it doesn't mean anything, it's still a
in the
great
Clash next year,
accolade.
so there you
And
go.
you're in the Clash next year, and you
Little
get to start on the
practice.
front row, but 500 miles is a long way.
So I'm a little worried about the duels, though, because
With who?
everybody. 'Cause
Based on
we
what the
saw-
Clash?
Yes.
Well, I think because the Clash was so crazy, I think the duels will be tame. Because, I mean, like you said, these car owners just forked out a lot of money for a ton of torn up stuff. The drivers are mad. I think everybody will mind their P's and Q's. Now, what that spells for the 500, I don't think we're going to have two crazy races back to back.
No.
Meaning Clash duels.
Duel, yeah.
But I don't think we're going to have two tame races back to back either. Meaning, whatever the duels are, the Daytona could be Daytona
The
500.
duel.
Yeah.
So we don't think any we don't think any aggression is going to come and trickle down from the Clash.
Maybe final lap. I mean, you're gonna make a move. And look, we've got a lot of cars that are gonna try to race in and actually try to make the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
So it might not be our headliner superstars. It could be some of these guys that are racing for one-off operations, trying to make it into this race, coming in there and ruffling some feathers too.
Well, there are two drivers that are active that have multiple Daytona 500 wins. One of them is Jimmy Johnson. The other is Denny Hamlin, and both of those cars looked speedy all weekend long, especially the 11 of Denny Hamlin. I thought Denny was going to come back and win the Clash because in typical Denny fashion, that's what happens. But Denny has to be a contender to go back-to-back for the 500.
Denny's car in the Clash was unbelievable.
Pushing Eric, too.
rocket.
Look, if he had 20 laps, he probably could have unlapped himself and not had any draft. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It was. It was really fast.
And the fact that, look, Eric Jones was driving a freight train. That thing just was,
driving
it
a
was
roll of tape.
shoving air so much. And the fact that Denny's car was able to latch onto him and push, it was a
Tandem style.
parachute
I
on the
liked it.
front of Jones's car, and they just drove by everybody like they were sitting still. Part of that's, Joe Gibbs Racing and TRD, and the other part of it is Denny Hamlin is at his peak. If it wasn't for a piece of tape, he would probably be the champion, and I think that is fueling the fire to not only double up on his 500, but to come out and probably have a career year.
You picked Denny on NASCAR.com as your
I
early
think,
champ.
yeah, and he's probably my Daytona 500 pick.
Last year, I picked Denny as my early champ.
And I called
back
you
in
crazy.
January of last year. And you called me crazy, and I was on the Denny
You were.
train for the entire year. Then he wins the Daytona 500. He goes on. He's like basically should have been the champion, like you said, if it weren't for a piece of tape. I think he has a good year. I don't think he wins the Daytona 500. It's just too hard of a race to win back-to-back years. I know he's a repeat winner, but to try and do it one year after another is an incredible feat. You asked me who's on a fantasy team, and I can't even pick. It's Daytona.
Throw a dart.
Yeah, you literally can throw a dart to choose who your winner could possibly be. And so I say no, Denny Hamlin does not repeat.
Kim's wrong.
Okay, well, we have to talk about his teammate before we get off here, too, because Kyle Busch is making his 15th start in the Daytona 500. That's the one crown jewel, really, that Kyle Busch has never won,
It's really
which is insane to say out loud.
It's the only question mark on the resume. I mean, and look, Kyle Busch is good. Kyle Busch has won at Daytona. Kyle Busch knows how to drive race cars everywhere. But, you go back to Earnhardt. It's the one he probably wants the most. And
Probably.
it's the one that has eluded him the most. So if it happens, when it happens, it's going to be a huge moment for the 18 team and Kyle Busch.
It's interesting, though, because when I talked to him during preseason media, I asked, because now he has multiple championships in Daytona, the Daytona 500 win is one thing that he does not have. And I said, if you this year could either win the Daytona 500 or the championship, you can win other races in between, but you can win the Daytona 500 or win the championship. And he thought long and hard about it, and he said he would want another championship. Because he said, when you take out the history books, there's a lot of guys that have won the Daytona 500. There are not a lot of guys that have won more than 2 championships.
There's not a lot of guys that won more than 1 championship.
Yeah.
So
He also said on
he's also 35.
he said on
Yeah.
Fox that he had like 12 to 15 more years he hoped left. So
He's on that Harvick plan. Harvick's going to be racing until he's 60.
Hey, I'm
a
all
long
here for it.
time.
If they keep signing him and the money keeps
You know.
being forked over, put him in the car. All right, well, Backseat Drivers is back for the 2020 season, so we're excited to get going. The Daytona 500 is coming up this Sunday, guys. Wow, February 16th at 2:30 p.m. Merriman, Kim, thank you for joining me. We'll see you guys right back here next time.
Backseat's back.
Wear your mullet next time.
All right.